Hey, how's it going? Kit here. This is my homework assignment for lesson 22 from Paul McWhorter. This is controlling a servo using a potentiometer. Um, so, with this lesson, we learned how to import a library and how to use that library in a program. So, we had to go and download the library for Servo. The way you do that is you just open that, and then you would type in whatever library you're looking for, and there it was at the very top, Servo. And you just install. Once it's installed, it stays installed. So that was pretty simple. And then when you include this, you put it in between the carets. You don't put a semicolon. It's the only time, one of the only times, that you don't put a semicolon to have a part of code in. All right, so ints that I added was pop pin for the potentiometer was plugged into analog 0. Potentiometer value. Servo pin was the same. Servo angle that was already established in that lesson plan. Baud rate was already established. My servo was already established. And the delay time was established in the lesson already. String prompt, that is if you're going to use the where a user selects the angle, but obviously I could have deleted that, but I just kept it in there. And the int for I, and that was for having the little scanny feature, which I thought was really cool. Definitely probably going to come back and use that one of these days, where the servo would scan back and forth from 0 to 180, and then back from 180 back down to 0. Serial in the setup, serial begin, my servo dot attached to that servo pin. And then in the void loop, pop val is equal to analog read of the pop pin, right? And then servo angle is 180 because we're going from 0 to 180 at the max, divided by 1023, multiply that by the potentiometer value, and that will give it the set value of where the angle that it needs to be at. And then delay of the delay time. Originally had it set at a tenth of a second, right? 100 milliseconds. But I didn't like it. It wasn't really smooth, so I kept bringing it down until it was as smooth as I liked it, but I felt like it wasn't, too frequent. I did have it serial print the pop val and the servo angle before I plugged everything up to make sure that it was all right. And hooking this up, building this circuit was a little bit different from what we have been doing up to this point, because you have to use ground for both the potentiometer and for the servo, right? So what I ended up doing was I connected the ground and 5-volt to the power rail on the breadboard, and then I used that to power the servo. So that's also connecting here at the connection for the servo. And then I also have that cable there and that cable there connecting to, red is connected to power, that gray is connected to ground. This yellow is connected to A0 for analog read, and the orange is connected to pin 9 for the servo control pin. And without further ado, that is a servo being controlled by a potentiometer as requested. It's not going completely 180. I don't know why. In the serial print, it was printing out going all the way up to 180. I don't know if maybe it's just not exactly 180, or maybe the little horns are just kind of throwing me off. Maybe it is. I don't think it is doing 180. It's not doing 180, but it was reading 180 as the servo angle, so there you go. If you have any comments, I'm all ears. Any pointers? Maybe I did something wrong here and that's why it's not doing that full 180. I would appreciate it if you got any words of wisdom. But yeah, that is a potentiometer controlling a servo. I had a lot of fun with it for a while. I'm not gonna lie. I was probably playing with it more than I should have. All right, y'all. Much love. Until next time.